Hi, Andy XL back with another NFXL podcast and the final of my 2026 draft previews as we're into day three. It's already underway, but I'm just going to give you quickly reel off just so that you know the numbers 151 through 257 on my big board. So the remainder are the ones that I think could get drafted or might have already been drafted. So I'll quickly run through them. So 151 is Caden Curry, the edge out of Ohio State. 152, Caleb Elamzor, edge TCU. 153, Cyrus Allen, wide receiver Cincinnati. 154, Michael Taft, the safety from Texas. 155, Jimmy Rolder, the inside linebacker, Michigan. 156, Kevin Coleman, wide receiver, Missouri. 157, DJ Campbell, guard out of Texas. 158, Logan Farno, edge, Utah. 159, Tim Keenan, defensive tackle, Alabama. 160, Justin Jefferson, inside linebacker, Alabama. 161, Mason Rieger, edge, Wisconsin. 162, Robert Spears Jennings, safety, Oklahoma. Then a couple that have already been drafted on day two, to much to my surprise. 163, Caleb Douglas, the wide receiver out of Texas Tech, and Jacoby Thomas, the safety out of Miami, was 164, but have both gone earlier than I expected. 165 is Max Llewellyn, the edge out of Iowa. 166, Jack Endries, tight end, Texas. 167, Deontay Lawson, inside linebacker, Alabama. 168, Hezekiah Masses, cornerback, California. 169 is another one that's already gone on day two, Nate Burkirker, the tight end at Texas A&M. 170, Michael Heldman, edge, Central Florida. 171, Bishop Fitzgerald, safety, USC. 172, Trey Moore, edge, Texas. 173, Anthony Lucas, edge, USC. 174, Jeff Caldwell, wide receiver, Cincinnati. 175, Joe Royer, tight end, Cincinnati. 176, Kendrick Law, wide receiver, Kentucky. 177, George Gums, edge, Florida. 178, Le'Veon Moss, running back, Texas A&M. 179, Lorenzo Styles, cornerback, Ohio State. 180, Parker Brailsford, center, Alabama. 181, Dallin Bentley, tight end, Utah. 182 for Beachy and Waiwu, guard Oklahoma. 183 Jeremiah Wright, another guard, this time out of Auburn. Then two more that have already gone on day two, earlier than I expected. 184 Keegan Trost, offensive tackle, Missouri. 185 Jaden Husky, safety, Maryland. 186 is Jager Burton, the center out of Kentucky. 187 is Torian York, inside linebacker, Texas A&M. 188 was Albert Regis, the defensive tackle of Texas A&M, who went on day two. Malik Benson is 189, wide receiver, Oregon. 190 is Drew Shelton, offensive tackle, Penn State. 191, Nick Barrett, defensive tackle, South Carolina. 192, Amil Wagner, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. 193, Diego Pounds, offensive tackle, Ole Miss. 194, Wade Woodaz, edge, Clemson. 195 has gone. Will Kaczmarek, tight end, Ohio State. 196, Wesley Williams, edge, Duke. 193, Logan Taylor, guard, Boston College. 198, Eli Heidenreich, running back, Navy. 199, Cade Klubnik, quarterback, Clemson. And the final one in my 200 has gone already, Kalen Black, the running back out of Indiana, who went earlier than I anticipated. So now into the 200s. 201, Aiden Fisher, inside linebacker, Indiana. 202, Alex Harkey, offensive tackle, Oregon. 203, Mikhail Kamara, edge, Indiana. 204, Tyreek Sapp, edge, Florida. 205, Armaj Reed Adams, guard, Texas A&M. 206, Lewis Moore, safety, Indiana. 207, Adam Randall, running back, Clemson. 208, Reggie Virgil, wide receiver, Texas Tech. 209, Tanner Koziol, tight end, Houston. 210, Seth McGowan, running back, Kentucky. 211, Colby Young, wide receiver, Georgia. 212, Rene Conga, defensive tackle, Louisville. 213, Colin Wright, cornerback, Stanford. 214, Eric McAllister, wide receiver, Tennessee, TCU. 215, JC Davis, offensive tackle, Illinois. 216, Toriano Pride, cornerback, Missouri. 217, Red Murdoch, inside linebacker, Buffalo. 218 Quintavious Hutchins, edge Boston College. 219 John Michael Gillenborg, tight end Wyoming. 220 is Caden Wetjen, a wide receiver out of Iowa. 221 Cameron Ball, defensive tackle Arkansas. 222 Fernando Carmona, offensive tackle Arkansas. 223 Damani Jackson, cornerback Alabama. 224 Anez Cooper, guard Miami. 225 Deshaun Singleton, safety Nebraska. 226 Sawyer Robertson, quarterback Baylor. 227 Pat Coogan, center Indiana. 228 Landon Robinson, defensive tackle Navy. 229 Jamari Taylor, running back Virginia. 230 Dante Corleone, the Godfather, defensive tackle Cincinnati. 231 is Mika Morris, a guard out of Georgia. 232 Robert Henry, running back UTSA. 233 TJ Hall, cornerback Iowa. 234 Jaden Ott, running back Oklahoma. 235 our first kicker Drew Stevens out of Iowa. 236 an international player development candidate, UR Bernard, defensive tackle, heralding from Nigeria. 237 Thaddeus Dixon, cornerback North Carolina. 238 Josh Cuevas, tight end Alabama. 239 a late climber, this and one might be sneaky, Baron Morton, quarterback Texas Tech. 240 Harrison Wallace, wide receiver Ole Miss. 241 Jaden Roberts, guard Alabama. 242 CJ Daniels, wide receiver Miami. 243 Bryson Eason, defensive tackle Tennessee. 244 Matt Golbin, the center for Michigan State. 245 brings our first punter, Ryan Eckley of Michigan State. 246 Kobe Baines, guard Kansas. 247 Vincent Anthony, edge Duke. 248 the second kicker, Trey Smack from Florida. 249 J. Michael Sturdivant, wide receiver UCLA. 250 another punter, Brett Thorson from Georgia. 251 Dylan Bell, wide receiver Georgia. 252 Lander Barton, inside linebacker Utah. 253 Jordan Vanderberg, defensive tackle Georgia Tech. 254 is somebody who went. Now, I really like this guy, but I was still surprised he went on day 2. Xavier Thomas, wide receiver LSU, is my 254. 255 Eric Gentry, inside linebacker USC. 256 Jam Miller, running back Alabama. And finally 257 Devon Marshall, the cornerback out of NC State. So they're my top 257. So we'll see how many of them get drafted and how I compare to the people I compete with in this game of who gets the most correct. And I'll give you a quick update on that after 3 rounds. Myself and Daniel Jeremiah predicted 83 of the first 100 off the board in our top 100. Dane Brugler got 80. Draft Tech got 79. Tankathon 77. PFF 76 and DraftBuzz 73. So I'm tied for the lead with Mr. Jeremiah, and we'll duke it out on day 3 to see who gets the most of our top 150 ever is how I'm going to measure it. Because he stopped at 150 on the last list I saw of his. So yeah, who of our top 150 gets into the top 150? So I'll give you a final update on that. See whether I can, in my mind, retain my crown from the last 3 years of being the most accurate. Right now, it's nip and tack with me and DJ. So that's it for me. I'll come back after the draft with some more looks at who how I think my favourite picks from day 2 onwards, and then I'm going to come back and do state of the. Well, I'm going to have a look at each division. That's how I'm going to do it. By division, I'll look at how each team's come out of the draft. So in groups of 4 teams, essentially. So I'll do those in all the upcoming days. And there'll be some other pieces. So stay tuned if you want to know. Oh, I'm going to tell you the fantasy, who's landed in the best fantasy landing spots as well. So the next week or 10 days is going to be full of material. So stay tuned. And that's it from me for now. See you later.